Hey guys, 8 Brian here, and I'm doing something a little bit new this time. I'm going to be going through monthly Flea Market Thrift Store pickups that I do each month. So we're going to be taking a look at all the stuff that I found for April. So first, I'm going to go in and do some miscellaneous toys and stuff like that, and then I'll show you what else I got. Alright, so I picked up a Mario ball. These were a promotional item, I think from Wendy's or Burger King, so pretty uncommon, not really a lot of value, but still pretty cool. And if you ever watch like Pat the NES Punk, you probably remember this getting popular because of that. Um, Also found a lot of good Star Wars stuff too. Found the original Return of the Jedi paperback book, and this has the color prints inside, which I have a New Hope already, and I love. These books are amazing because I mean it really is like with the pictures it's so close to the actual original uncut movie um, in a book form. I mean it really is like you're reading the movie. These are amazing adaptations. If you ever see them, pick them up. They're awesome collector's item. This was like a quarter, I think, but I usually get books at Goodwill and stuff. They're really cheap. The ball was $1, so really good deal. Also picked up two Star Wars. These were Droid World. If you remember, like there was the book and record series. Well, this is the book and tape. The book I have here is well, this is just Droid World. I thought it was actually called something else, but you can see 3PO and R2D2 running away from some Imperial troopers in the background, and this would have had a specific cassette with it. Really nice pictures. I love the layouts of these. Don't know if I can find a good picture of a 3PO or maybe Han or something in here. So that's really cool. You can see the spaceship that is being attacked and they're trying to escape from, and that would have came with a cassette. Now I got the cassette. Both of these I paid I think like $2 for the pair. This is the cassette that would have came with it, but this isn't the correct cassette with this book, which is kind of disappointing because that would really make the value of this go up a lot. Even though I wouldn't really... I'm not a guy that sells. I usually do stuff for trade, and then if something's really valuable, maybe I'll sell it down the road. But this is called Planet of the Hoojibs, the cassette, and that's actually a really rare cassette in the book and cassette series. So if this was a complete set, aside from there's a little tear on the back, but still it's a pretty uncommon cassette to find out in the wild. This would be about a $25 to $30 item. By themselves. The book, and they're probably give or take about $5 each to somebody who's really into Star Wars, even with the tear. This is really cool too. This is Atari Force. Now these were the mini comics that came in different games like Sword Quest and Berserk, Star Raiders, and there was little mini comics. There was also a full-size comic that was produced by DC, and this is also produced by DC, as you can see up in the corner. And it's an interesting little mini-series to where, I mean, it was basically like a commercial without having to pay for TV time, which is why Atari did this, because it got kids hooked that not only did you have a game, but you had great, colorful illustrations, and it was kind of like a tie-in for like what game is coming out next, like in the one where they're, it's called like Star Raiders or something, they're in a ship and they're blasting other aliens and stuff. So, I mean, it's actually a really decent storyline, and it's a 4 mini comic set, but I unfortunately only have 3 of them. The person that I bought them off only had the 3 of them, and you can see on the back the one that has the Sword Quest advertisement on the back. They're just really cool collectibles, and these are very uncommon. So if this was a complete set of 4, I would say it'd be worth probably about $20, give or take, for a set, maybe a little bit more, to the right collector. I also found a Flying Koopa Trooper. This is an original Nintendo Collector's Series Koopa Trooper pin. And that's really nice. I paid like $1 or 50 cents for him. These have become, as with anything gaming, now really collectible, really popular. I think it's pretty cool. I don't know how well you can see it, but the colors and the graphics on them are really great and bright. And I got a jacket and some messenger bags. I'll put that on. So Really, really good find. And this I found here. This is a Skater Die. I love handhelds, but this is a Konami Skater Die handheld, and this works great. It's a little dirty. Paid about $3-4 for this, but I love the licensed Tiger handhelds and Konami handhelds. Like I have a Mega Man 3 one and a Street Fighter 2 one that I'm trying to fix. I'm actually going to be doing a handheld series coming up shortly, so stay tuned for that, guys. Um, but I just love how you know, it's another kind of unlicensed. Well, it's licensed, but Nintendo product, but not an official Nintendo product. So this is the stuff where a lot of people will be like, oh, well, it's not really rare. It's not really worth anything. It's just a stupid handheld. But this is cool because everybody knows the video game, but how much other Skater Die merchandise was actually produced? So, I look at this as being just as rare as some uncommon games that you're going to find in a game store because, how many of these are out there? I mean, there's a good couple hundred, couple thousand that were produced. But honestly, I doubt there's a lot of these left anymore. The battery terminal's corroded. People try to put batteries in them. Oh, it doesn't work. This was my son's. Goes in the trash. Nobody's going to bother to take a Q-tip with rubbing alcohol and clean up the contacts. So, they're all going in the garbage. So, personally, I think this is really cool. Just as a hint, I do have something else that is kind of toy-related, but I'm saving that till the very end. So now on to my video game pickups for April. Let's start with Atari. Number one, I haven't done a lot of reviews, but I'm a huge Atari fan, and it doesn't really get a lot of love. So if you're out there in the flea markets or you're at game stores and you see something that maybe you don't recognize, or you see Atari games, for $1, $2 a pop, that's usually the going rate, about $2 a game. If you're a good negotiator, you can get them for $1 a game. But most people don't know what they have. They're usually crusty, they're thrown in a box, nobody cares to pick through them because everybody just knows, NES. Oh, NES is what's popular. Nobody gives a shit about Atari because those people who played that, I played Atari when I was younger, but I'm still not really the old generation that really, grew up with it in the mid to late 70s and early 80s, being a teenager playing it. I was 4 or 5 playing my Atari 800 XL and playing the 2600 at, my friend Chris's house and things like that. It's a very undervalued market, and there's a lot of rare games you can pick up there. So first off, I got here Stargate, and Stargate is what's also known as Defender 2, if you ever played the original Defender. Now, this is pretty uncommon, just because there was another company, which is why this Stargate title was original, afterwards, I'm sorry, getting myself confused, renamed Defender 2, because there was a company that already had a game out, and a licensed product called Stargate, so they sued Atari over the rights, saying we came up with that first, and then they put out another game called Atari Defender 2. So Stargate cartridges are a little more rare, so if you ever see Defender 2 or Stargate, they're the exact same game, except you won't see as many with the silver Atari logo, because the people that made the original Stargate product told Atari that they had to cease and desist and stop making these carts, so it's pretty uncommon. Also, this is a 20th Century Fox cart that I picked up. I love this. It's really super cute, really super awesome, very goofy. It's Deadly Duck by 20th Century Fox for the Atari 2600. And you're a little red duck floating in a stream, and you shoot, I don't know, it looks like it might be water, I'm guessing. You're shooting aliens. He might be shooting lasers, I don't know. But he's shooting it up in the air from the top of his bill, so I'm guessing that he's probably shooting water out of his bill, and that's really cute. I love old Atari games like this. They're so goofy, they're so wacky. It was just a different time where you could pick up a game, play it, have fun, and you didn't need to buy a whole bunch of different microtransactions and spend $1,000 and be online, blah blah blah, and get yourself all frustrated. You're just a stupid duck killing flies or aliens, and it's fun, and you play it for half an hour, and you're done with it. And I don't think enough games are like that anymore, so Anyway, also I found another uncommon game here called Cookie Monster Crush. This was in the Learning series that Atari put out that were licensed a lot by either Fisher Price or the Learning Factory with Sesame Street. So there was a couple Sesame Street one. There was Big Bird's Big Bird's Number Adventure. There was this, the Cookie Monster Crunch. There's a third one that I don't remember off the top of my head. Um, but yeah, this actually also came with a special kids controller, which, as you know, Atari just has the basic joystick, but it was shaped. I think it was shaped like Cookie Monster or Big Bird. I don't remember. I've only seen it once. That is extremely rare. If you can ever find that controller, I mean, the cart itself, this is a $5 to $10 cart, that I picked up for $2. Um, but that, that's like an $80 to $90 controller. They're unbelievably rare. So I just love the cover art on that. It's cool. It's Cookie Monster. It's Atari. Why wouldn't you love it? Um, Next, I found Raft Rider, which is a game which is pretty much exactly what you're thinking that it is. It's a guy that's going down a raft, and you just basically move left and right to avoid alligators and sticks and logs and beavers and dams and stuff like that. And it's made by U.S. Games, which they made a lot of uncommon games for the Atari. And what I mean by uncommon is that Activision and 20th Century Fox, um, they were the main licensors of games for the Atari, as well as Sears and Telegames. So other companies like this, like US Games, you can see it has the weird kind of wacky beveled handle, which is nice, makes it easy for you to pull it out. But they didn't produce very much of these because, they weren't as big of a company. So, there's not as many of these out there. They're, I wouldn't say rare by any means. Raft Rider is probably borderline rare. It's not really a rare game, but it's extremely uncommon. Yeah, that's what makes these a little more uncommon, just because they weren't one of the bigger dogs in Atari's park. This is another one from the Learning series. This is made by Walt Disney, and this is Sorcerer's Apprentice. And this is with Mickey Mouse, and it has the scene from like Fantasia, where he makes the broomsticks come alive, and again, really, really great cover art. It's also a pretty rare game. I would say this is at least borderline rare to rare, and that's about a $15 cart. All of these games, I think the one I paid the most for here would have been Sorcerer's Apprentice, and I think I paid between $6 to $8 for this. But seeing as it's a $15 to $20 game and up, that's still a good turnaround. All the rest of them, 2, 4, 6, 8. So not even $20 for 5 games, and it's at least within $40 to $50 of trade value, or value there if I wanted to throw it on eBay. Then I also found the Aztec Adventure for the Sega Master System. Love Master System stuff. I loved the white checkered pattern they have on all their games. And I just love the way that the sprites and the bits. And I have a hard time calling Master System games bit games because they're so much more blurry than NES, because they didn't have as good of a video processor as the NES did. But their games also looked really cool, I thought. And in case you've never seen one, there's the cart, Aztec Adventure. This is probably a $20 to $25 game. I think I paid $3 for it. It has a really sweet Master System poster in here too. So really cool. This is all just stuff that you don't really find anymore. You're not going to find this that much at flea markets. You're not going to find it at the wild. In the wild, it gets thrown out. So I love stuff like that. And now let's move on to NES pickups. So I got 2 or 3 I'm going to save to last, but first off here I have a game called Puzznic, and this is a really cool puzzle game for the NES. It's very, very, very uncommon. There weren't a lot of these made. I don't know why. It actually wasn't a late release game. This was 91 or 92, and it's just square squares with circles and triangles in them, and you just have to move other squares out of the way in order for the other ones to fall down. You can't just shift things around like you could in columns. You actually have to move them in a specific order, so if you move one in the wrong order, while they don't stack on top of each other per se, it can prevent you from making your next right move, kind of like, hey, to complete the puzzle in a certain number of moves, and then you can't complete the puzzle. Um, so this is uncommon, but overall, this is maybe a $10 game. I think I paid $5 for it, so not bad. And also, I have another one here for the NES. This is the Video Mation. I always want to call it Motion. It's hard to see here. Video Mation, and this is a drawing and animating game for the NES. Now, the only thing that's bad about this is you couldn't save any pictures or animations that you did on the game, and the animations were all stock. It was basically you just drew a picture, and there was 5 or 6 preloaded animations, like a baby or a ship or a guy balancing a ball that would just move around on the screen in a predetermined pattern. So you couldn't actually animate your own drawings. You could just cause things to move and put music to them. So, I guess it looked like your picture was animated. So in that sense, you kind of were. And this is really neat because it was, this is years before Mario Paint would come along. So to see something this creative, and obviously a lot better than Color of Dinosaur, in the creative line of games for the NES, I think is really cool. Also a really uncommon game. Goes for about 10, 12 bucks tops. Not a lot of money there as far as value-wise, but again, picked it up for, I think, 4. I think I had this and Puzznik, 2 for 8. I think I got them for. So, that's a good deal. I'm not losing anything there. So, pretty cool, uncommon cart. I like it. I pick up a lot of stuff even if it's not really rare or valuable. Even if I just see stuff that's uncommon. You'll see a lot of uncommon games out there that maybe aren't worth a lot, but they're just cool. They're weird, obscure titles that you're just like, wow, that's a weird game. Like, why were they thinking that with the Nintendo or something? There's a tiger jumping through, a TV screen, or Puzznik, and you're like, oh, well, this isn't Dr. Mario or Tetris, but it's the kind of stuff I like to collect for because it's just weird. It's the parts of video game history that kind of get swept under the rug that nobody sees. Now, also to that fact, this is another really cool find that I found, and this is an extremely, extremely rare find. This is one of the rarest games, I'd say, in the top 40 to 50 that you'll find for the NES, and this is a gaming add-on. I almost want to call it a system for the NES, and it was made by Codemasters and produced by Aladdin. It's called the Aladdin Deck Enhancer. Now, what this is it kind of looks like the honeybee that you would see for the Famicom, converting a 70-pin to 52 to a 70-pin adapter, or they made ones for the 64 and the Super Nintendo and yada yada. But this is an adapter in the fact that it converts to their own game. I believe this is a 16-pin, and it converts that to a 70-pin because Nintendo didn't like a lot of the stuff that Camerica and Codemasters, were doing. So in order to get around Nintendo's strict licensing policy, Nintendo, they didn't have to approve accessories. So it's very easy for them to just be like, oh, well, we're just putting out this accessory for the Nintendo, and Nintendo didn't have to approve it, and therefore whatever they produced for that accessory, it went under the radar as it wasn't a game, because what they originally produced was not a game to begin with. It was called the Deck Enhancer. So it got under the radar of Nintendo as just an accessory. Like, that's why you see a lot of weird controllers out there. They're not licensed because Nintendo doesn't deal in licensing and that. They license their own product, but they had no guidelines as far as accessories if they had to be licensed by Nintendo. So first off, one that, I think a lot of people have played, or maybe I just played it a lot as a kid. There was also, I believe, another version of this made, but these are all very, very rare. Blew me away. These are ones I found today that I can't believe I found today. You have Micro Machines. Oh boy. Dizzy. Yeah, he's back. You know, you guys know my channel. I did Dizzy, and I am not a fan of Dizzy. He's cute, but the games are friggin' terrible. So there's that. And this one is actually one of the rarest and most uncommon games for the entire NES library. This one right here. Go fucking figure. Dizzy. You know, and these were just all mini parts of that one big game that I reviewed. You had like the pirate one and Dizzy the Adventurer, and they were all just like segments that Codemasters cheaply broke up into little games. I mean, this is like, you know, a 5-minute section. There's no reason for that to be a full game, you know. And this is the Quattro 4 Adventure. It has 4 games on it. It has Super Robin Hood, Linus, what does this say now? I can't read what that says. Linus Spacehead? I'm not sure what that says. Boomerang Kid and Treasure Island Dizzy, which is the stage of the Fantastic Adventures of Dizzy where you're on a pirate ship, just like Dizzy the Adventurer is the one where he's in the caves and in the mines. 2 very small segments of an otherwise long game. No reason for them to make them into separate games. So now what you would do with this is this would go in your Nintendo just like a regular cart. Now you can see it looks just like a regular NES cart. And you take the other mini games and slide them right in the top there, those grooves. And it clips in. And now your accessory, your deck enhancer, is now an unlicensed game. You can put it in your NES, it gets around the lockout chip, and you can play these unlicensed games without Nintendo getting in the middle of it, because, you know, if they went back to Aladdin or Codemasters, they'd be like, oh, well, what do you mean? There's no game here, it's just an accessory, and that's how they got around it. So, these are probably all between $20 to $30 a piece. You know, they're really rare. The deck enhancer, you know, is another $25. So, you know, it's about $50 to $75 for the set. Very cool. And they're just really neat video games. And as far as video games, last but not least for the NES, I found today one of the rarest games on the system, Chubby Cherub. This is an extremely, extremely rare game. It was licensed by Bandai. It was one of the first in the Black Box series, known as the Action Adventure series. Now, the game itself, from what I've seen in other online reviews, is a terrible game. So it's not really something, you know, that you particularly enjoy playing, and that's why the release got cut. You know, a lot of people didn't buy it because it was terrible. But, you know, it was one of the first series of games that got, well, second wave. There was the original 10 that got launched with the NES, with, like, Excite Bike, Duck Hunt, Hogan's Alley, Urban Champion, things like this. And there was a second series of black box games that came out later on, and the Adventure and Zapper series. And this was one that there was a very limited run of. It is a 5-screw, and it's a very, very rare game to find for the NES. And this I paid a little bit for. I traded some common box stuff like Double Dragon, and a very uncommon Eek the Cat Super Nintendo game. Kind of wish I hadn't traded that, but it did bring the cost of this down considerably. Abadox and a Formula One built to win racing game. So I paid around $40-50 for this. You know, including my trade, which is, you know, pretty damn expensive, but the game's worth around $90, and there's still room there. I mean, you could still get about, you know, anywhere between like $100 to $125 for this. And just the fact that it's that uncommon, you know, you're not going to see very many of these anywhere. So, you know, I mainly grabbed it up just as a collection piece because it's a hard game to find. All right, now that we're done with games and toys, let me move on to the last piece that I found over this month, and this is a hoodilly. This is something. Now this is not a game, but it is game related, and this is a 1985 all metal Legend of Zelda trash can. And I got this for $2. And it even has the original price tag on it here from Clover. If you remember Clover stores like Bradley's. And you can see Link going after, I'm not sure, that looks like they should be rupees. Oh, I guess that's grass. I think that's what that's going through. It's kind of weird. Like, this looks more like Link 2 than it does the original Zelda, what he's doing here. But you see he's got the ladder and the shield, and he's throwing a bomb there. I think this was probably supposed to originally be red, but after 30 years it's kind of pink, or maybe it was pink originally. It's Nintendo, but it's really cool. This is in really, really super condition, and even any condition issues aside, these things are unbelievably rare. In the past year, I've only seen like 3 of these listed on eBay that got sold, and they all sold for around $170 to $200. So just the coolness factor of being able to say that you actually have something like this in your collection, you know, I mean, again, I traded a bunch of board games and stuff for this, so this is awesome. I don't really want to sell this, so I'm going to try to hang on to that for as long as possible, just because it is such a cool piece to look at. Like, until next time, guys, this is 8byte Brian, signing off.
Hey guys, if you liked the video that you just watched, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. And if you do the Facebook or Twitter thing, follow me at #KingOfRetro. See you next time.